Good morning, everybody. It's Kevin the Canadian Hillbilly, and I'm saying good morning because it's about 8 a.m. and we just finally got daylight. It's midwinter time, and it's time for me to dive into some mechanical projects here. So this one's going to be a bit more of a hillbilly how-to from the hillbilly shed at hillbilly headquarters. So, a friend of mine gave me this pump, and I still have to pay for it. That's whether or not I can get it running or not. Things have been a little tight, and so I still haven't been able to pay for it. My neighbor's next door. I also got a fire going here in the stove just to warm up the shed a bit. So I'm going to have to dive into this pump here and see if I can get it started. It's sat for probably close to a decade, so the first thing I'm going to do is just get rid of the gas, put clean gas in there, and hope for the best. I'm going to take the air compressor and blast it all out and clean it up the best I can. And we're going to see how she goes. So yeah, that's the first thing to do is drain the gas tank, put some nice free, some good fire starter in there, high octane stuff, because all the octanes is probably evaporated out of this tank. And that's where we're going to go. So I'm going to fire up the old air compressor if it's going to let me. Hopefully there's enough air actually in it so I can just do the job. I'm going to give this a little shot just to clean it up, blow out the cobwebs and stuff. And yeah, I'm going to dive into this fella. It's been drained. I checked the oil. The oil's in immaculate shape. It's a Honda. So when you have the oils free and clear, it's looking like there shouldn't be too much of a problem. I'm really hoping it's just going to be a matter of old gasoline. If the gasoline doesn't do it, then we're going to have to dive into the carburetor. Before I dive into that carburetor, I'm going to check, make sure we've got a spark going to this little fella. Air filter after the carburetor, or before the carburetor, because you got to take the air filter off to get to the carburetor. Yeah, I'm really hoping it's just a matter of dumping the gas and firing it up. One can only hope. So, I'm going to hit the brakes on you good people, and I'll fire this up as I go along. Blasting out the air compressor is quite loud and noisy, so I don't know if you'll be around for that part of it, but at least it's starting to warm up here with the fire I got going in the stove. That's nice. Not like having a nice warm place to pull a wrench in the wintertime. Sometimes I even put my tools underneath the wood stove so they have a chance to sponge up some heat so I'm not touching cold iron. It's quite the nice luxury in the wintertime when you can actually grab your tools and they're warm, not cold. Especially when you're old and you got arthritis. I tell you. So yeah, time to dive into this fella. See you in a little bit, guys. Hopefully it'll be all nice and scrubbed up and clean. You can see there's the cobwebs and stuff in there I need to get to, and it's a Honda. It's a fairly older pump, but it's a Honda. It shouldn't be much of an issue. The wiring, everything looks really nice and tidy on it. I can say that the oil's in great shape. This pump's been well maintained over its life. Like, look at the oil. It's not even black. You know what I mean? It's got that nice suntan golden hue on it. And there's just a few little cobwebs in here, and I'm really hoping it's just the fuel. So I'm gonna get into here, dump the fuel bowl, and hope for the best. Yeah, these are pretty stout little units, these Hondas. You can see it's a GX110. It was back before now they just call them the GX number, and I think the number on it is the cubic centimeters inside there, I believe. And 3.5 horse. So if I can get this little fellow working, it's going to be a real nice positive to have for the mining. I tell you what. It's going to need, suction hose and discharge hose and all that good stuff, but I got a few of them little fellers kicking around here, so that shouldn't be too big of a deal. Worst comes to worst, you got to spend some money on some fittings. I might have to spend a few bucks on intake hose for this, because I like to keep my pump a good ways away from the source of water, just because you don't have to worry about environmental, and you don't have to worry about your pump falling into the water. it's just easier to get to, and sure, it sucks having to pack that extra bit of hose, but I like the idea of keeping the pump further away from the source of water than you can, because you're going to have a little bit of spillage when you do your gasoline, and if the pump is old, it's probably leaking oil, but this thing it's bone dry, so that oil leakage is definitely not an issue. So, yeah, so you just got to blast some of the old cobwebs out of here and see how it goes. Well, after opening up the lid here on the old octane storage spot, I see that fuel almost looks bluish green in color, and I'm gonna not even take off the carbo because I don't want to suck that junk through there, so I'm gonna siphon it right out of here, and hopefully that works for a fella. I need to kind of wipe this up too, so yeah, get started on that here. Let me just grab some facial tissue here, or I guess it's not facial tissue. No, that's Kleenex, the snot nose wiper. We'll call this. There we go. Oh yeah, just to get rid of that junk. No point in contaminating that fuel tank any more than what it already has been. There we go. That's supposed to be good. No, that's just actually good for fire starting now, actually. I can go there. Okay, so now comes the really gross part. Just don't get her in your old freaking mouth there. And I'm actually going to put this thing up on an angle which will force the fuel into one spot. Something I can use as a shim here. A little piece of metal. That'll do the job. There we go. That forces the gas into a nice little spot. I got my little container set up here. I'm just cutting an oil jug in half, and I cut it to the point where if I had to, I can just stick it underneath the carburetor. That way, when I open up that it'll go. Another thing I highly recommend is using a longer hose. That way, you can see the fluid coming out of the damn thing. Get it down low enough. Keep your finger on it. Get your siphon initiated. Alright. So either this is chainsaw gas, which it shouldn't be. It should be 4-stroke. Oh man. It kind of does smell like chainsaw gas. Ooh-wee. This little guy should be just straight gas. So the fact that it's gone this blue is probably not a good thing. I can barely see in there, but I haven't got any bubbles yet, so that's a good sign. And we're getting all the octanes out of there. I'm going to do the old Google search on this guy and see if it actually is mixed gas, because coloration on this is really telling me it's mixed gas, and I'm pretty darn sure this isn't mixed gas. Oh no, I'm already getting air bubbles going in there. Yep, I think that's going to be about her. Yeah, the bubbles are quick moving, so time to lift up the hose, get rid of the old fucking drainage here. Trying to get any of that stuff going into your eyeballs, because gasoline in your eyes is not a nice thing. Okay. So that's the fuel tank drained out. Have a little look inside here. My camera's got a kick-ass little light I installed on the top of it for using in low light levels. And there is a few other little fellers floating around in there. The filter looks pretty good. It's not full of stuff, so I'm thinking that's good. And also the tank is in great shape. It's not full of rust like the one pump I had down at the river there after I stored it for the winter. So that's a bonus. Yep. Yeah, Honda makes good stuff. Alright, so that's out of here. I'm going to do a little research and see what this guy's going to need, because the coloration of this fuel, that's not looking too good. I'm really thinking that it actually might be 2-stroke. Gosh, I hope not. So I'm going to put on the old reading glasses here, bust out the phone, have a good look at this, and see what exactly the old girl's going to need. Yeah. Great. Next step is to get in here. This is where the float bowl is, and there's a little, inside this cup here, there's a little thing that goes up and down, and generally that little thing that goes up and down gets all gummed up full of varnish, as they call it. And so I'll just take off the drain here and drain out the fuel that I can into my little handy dandy self-made cup. And I'm going to pop off this, and that'll allow what's left in the system to drain right out. But yeah, I'm going to have to bust out my phone here and do some Googling and see exactly if this is actually two-stroke or regular. And I'm should be regular gas. I can't see it being two-stroke. There would be some sort of indication on here what it is. And I don't see a damn thing. So, with that being said, it's time to put on the reading glass so I can actually read this stuff. But yeah, usually when it's a 50 to 1 or such a ratio, it's clearly marked on what it is. So, and you look at that stuff there. That's it doesn't even smell like gasoline anymore. Weird. Yeah. Yeah. All the octanes have definitely evaporated out of there. That's sat for some time. So, yeah, time to grab the glasses, do some reading, do some Googling, see what this little guy needs. I've been jamming out the fire here. I got a nice fan set up so it blows the air coming off the stove and warms up the whole shed here. It's a pretty nice deal. And when I turn the camera off, I crank up the stereo, listen to some tunes, so it's enjoyable. It's a nice place to work. I like it out here. When I first got out here this morning, you could see your breath in here, and that's just starting to fade away now. So that's good. So yeah, time to dive into this thing a little bit more extensively on the technical side, and then we're going to get into it on the mechanical side. And I'm really hoping it's just a matter of fuel. And I figure it's best to be proactive and do what's right. Make sure you figure out what's going on with it. Anything you do, information is key. You know what I mean? That way, you don't put yourself up poop creek too soon. So yeah, time to tinker with this. All the lines, everything looks really good. Like it's nice and solid and firm. I don't see any really defects or problems with this. So I'm really hoping it's just a matter of putting the fuel in there and hoping for the best. I don't want to have to take the car apart and clean it all out, but if that's the case, it is what it is, and I'm ready for it. Like I said, I started this project early in the morning, and hopefully I can get it all taken care of. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to turn you guys off. See you in a little bit. And, I'll do my research, and when I turn this back on, hopefully we'll be getting into that little fella. Boy, I tell you what, that internet sure is a handy-dandy thing. So I was able to actually download the owner's manual for this damn thing, and it's not mixed gas, so that blue stuff that was in there, probably for the best to get it out. I also topped up the oil, and in the instruction manual it says if the shaft rotates, you can blow out the seal on the pump, so I got myself a jug of water to prime up the pump with, so that way it's got water in there on that seal, so that way if I do end up getting this thing started, in that moment of it starting and running, I won't have to worry about fucking up the seal, and it just, safer than sorry. There's still just a wee little bit of fuel left in there, so my plan is I'm going to get a bottle, a container, a milk jug, or something like that, and I got a good chunk of hose here, so I'm going to literally, I could use a turkey baster or something like that, but the wife would probably not like that. So I'm going to use a bottle. I'm going to put 2 holes into it. I'm going to have one hole being going for a chunk of this hose that's going to go into here, another chunk of hose that's going to end up going in my mouth, and I'm just going to make a vacuum, you know what I mean, by sucking all the crap out of there and clean out all this junk in here. There's a few little floaties and odds and ends in there, but it's not too bad overall. And I'm going to clean that stuff out, but yeah, that fuel that's in there, it's blue. It almost looks like two-stroke. Like, that's the reason why I was wondering that. I still haven't dumped this yet, and that's going to be the next little thing. I want to get this really cleaned up and looking good inside that before I add more fuel to it. So yeah, we got the oil in there. We've got a jug of water for the seals for one that, you know, does start to spin. I haven't even checked it for spark, which shouldn't be too big of a deal. It's right there. But the next thing I want to do too is dive into this carb and drop the bowl, have a look for any debris in there, and then I'm also going to check the float, make sure it's in a happy spot for there's no varnish built up on it. That way that varnish adds weight to it and it just doesn't run properly. So that's where we're at for now. The fire's nice and toasty in the shed here. It's great. Turn on the fan, blow some air around, crank up the tunes on the boom box when I don't got the camera on, and yeah, so that's where we're at for this guy here. So yeah, I'm gonna do this guy next, and then get into this guy here, and then keep on plugging away. I got a few empty milk jugs in the house that I can use or something. Anyways, I'm not too overly worried about it. I'm pretty crafty. Okay, so we got the last little bit of floaties in here that I'm trying to get out of there, and I rigged up my little vacuum cleaner. Whew. And it's not a good thing for a fella to be breathing in these fumes. I tell you what, oh my goodness. That was an unexpected side effect of doing this. That's probably not a good idea. I wouldn't advise that for other people. Should just go inside and hook up the turkey baster onto this side here, and that's probably the best way to do it. But I'm trying to use the little vacuum hose I got and get in there and get all these little bits of gravel and dirt out of there. You know, plan B is, you know, to tear the whole thing apart and pop off the tank, and I've done that. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. So I'm trying to dodge that. I'm trying to keep this as simple and easy as I possibly can. I'm hoping it's just a matter of swapping out fuel and putting in some good stuff, and away the guy goes. So I'm going to try to get the rest of these little odds and ends out of here and put them into the bottom of the jug here and hope for the best. I got, you know, it's a pretty good setup. You know, I had to bring in the cordless drill and a couple extra additional lights so I could see in the tank, but it's coming along, so that's a bonus. Draining of the carb. Trying to get rid of that stuff out of there, and then we'll see what we got inside here. Alright, so that's pretty much done there. A few little drips here and there, ain't gonna hurt nothing too bad. Hopefully you guys can see that. Get this dang jingly jangly phone out of my pocket. Oh boy. There we go. And yeah, oh, frickin' sorts of things in there. The float's actually pretty clean, but the bottom of the bowl's pretty nasty. So I'm gonna give that a good chunk of wiping because it's gonna need it. You guys can see in there. That's pretty horrible. You've got some card cleaner somewhere around here. Probably a good idea to give that a little spritzing. And judging by the wear and tear in here, you can tell this thing has been cleaned out before. Oops. I want to do a nice good job of this, so I'm gonna get in there real good. Yeah, you can feel that stuff built up on the bottom in there. Yeah, brake clean, card clean, it's about the same. Yeah, that's it. Oops. Well, so much for that guy. A whole new one now. Yeah, that's some funky. Do. Oh, hey. Keeping me closer hand. Yeah, that stuff's pretty gummy in there. I wonder what kind of fuel they had used. Give that a good one. There we go. I don't think that's going to hurt that none. Of course, we're going to let that all evaporate out of there before we reassemble this. I want to find a way to clean that gunk out of there, though. There is a bit of gunk in the bottom of there. What can a feller do? So I'm just kind of scraping it with a wire brush here, freeing up the stuff that's stuck to the sidewall, but it's right in the very bottom. That's where the tough stuff is. There's some real fine sandpaper here. It's not really coming together quite well. Drop a little chunk of that fine sandpaper. It's working great on that sidewall. So yeah, it's gonna clean this out. Of course, the stuff right in the bottom is in a really evil spot to try to get in there, sandpaper. Oh yeah, that's making quite the difference. So nice. Oh yeah. So after this, I think the next step is to throw a little bit of the octane juice in there. Reading that manual, it said 86 octane or greater. I got premium, and that's I think 92 or something like that octane, so that should be enough sparker maker juice to get her to roll over some. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to give us a little spritzing with that, and then give us a good little bit of wiping with that, just to get rid of all the four-gin bodies out of there. Oh yeah. That's looking a lot happier with life. So we're going to put the drain in first, clean that up. And then float bowl retention bolt, I don't know what it's named, but that's what I'm going to call it. And put that back in there. And back into there. And we're just going to snug all this stuff up. Rotate that float bowl a little bit so that way, I'm sure you heard that click into place. That's a good thing. Nice and snug. Nice and snug. Okay, time to throw some octane maker in here and hope for the best. I think I got most of the dirt and stuff out of there because I don't want to do much more than that because it's a god-awful process. And time to see how she's going to look here. I'm going to throw some in here just enough to fill up this to the pickup tube there so that way I don't got gasoline going down inside, and then do all the, the choke and the run and all that good stuff, and yeah, see how that goes for a feller. Throttle looks to be working good. On off, switch over yonder here. Let's get the yucky stuff out of the way. I should probably just put that outside. instead of exposing myself to those fumes. Alright, I'm going to turn this all off, and then when I get the gas in there, I'll fire this fella up and see how she goes. Okay, got the fuel on, choke on, the on button on. Now, it should just be a matter of great. Recoil. Well, there's the next problem we got to deal with. Trying to pop this cover off, and sometimes you can just get away with spraying a little bit of lube in there. I wonder if I can get away with that today. I'm gonna go for the easy man's route first. Come on, baby. Yeah, I'm going to have to take that recoil off and then tighten that up a smidgen. So that's where I'm at. So it's going to be, I think, 3 bolts. Down there, and good old people at Honda. Everything should all be 10 mil. Carb was 10. This is 10. Alright, I'm going to put this camera down. I'm going to pop this off and see how she goes from there. Oh, no, knocking stuff over left, right, and center here. Yeah, maybe I should just go find myself a ratchet for this guy. Yeah. So I'm going to turn this off so that way I don't gobble up my battery, and we'll see how this goes. Okay, so I added a couple wraps on the recoil, so that's going good. I also pulled the spark plug. There is sparks, so electrically that's good. And then I poured a little bit of gas down here. I was able to get it to fire. So that's telling me our problems are in this little gizmo here, the carburetor. So I'm wondering if I'm going to have to pull that little fella off there and disassemble it, clean it all up, and put it all back together. I also unscrewed the needle jet and checked that out. It looks okay. Nothing built up on it. So I'm assuming it's in the carb. Now, I also put water in it because you don't want to run this thing dry. The seals don't like it. So I'm just going to maybe throw a little bit of the fire maker in there. There we go. Never have too much of that. And give this a little just enough to kill it. And yeah, so there's something in there. Now I gotta get into that curve. That's the only thing I can think of. That's the problem in there. I'm sure of it. Choke back. Yeah, she just doesn't want to go over otherwise, so time to get into the carb and figure that out. Great. I wonder if I should drop that float bowl in there and see what there is for flow rate. Yeah. Now I'm really regretting putting as much gas in there as I did. Probably going to have to disconnect everything and deal with that, which is going to be a pain in the butt. So yeah, time to take that carb off there and build it up. At least with it firing, you know what's going on electronic-wise. The buttons are good and all that stuff. There's spark going into the cylinder. We got thunder happening in there. We just got no fuel delivery. So in here we go next. So I'm gonna have to disassemble that, which is these 2 bolts here, and they pop off, and then the plastic cover comes off. And you got to deal with all these little switches and doodads and gizmos and all that crap. Oh yeah, this one here comes off too. And I believe they're all 10 mil. Yep. Kind of handy dandy. You only need really one tool to do this job. So that's the update, and that's where we're at for this guy. I put some water in there too, so that way that seal doesn't run dry. Now that's important. You don't want that seal to go on you. So it's time to dive into the carburetor, clean it all up and out, and hopefully that's enough to make it run. Because I don't got the budget to replace a carburetor, but I got the time to repair it, so that's the plan. So I took the carburetor out and cleaned it all up, and I noticed that this gasket here looks like it got a little burnt. And this is what that gasket was attached to, and these three pieces are supposed to be one. So that's part of the problem here with this feller, is carburetor is getting blow by, so it's not sucking up enough, lightning juice. So I'm gonna put all this stuff back together, and I ordered new parts for it, which all goes on there. So I'm going to end up putting a piece of tape over here to cover up this hole here. I'm going to reassemble the carburetor and all its little odds and ends and pieces. Put that into a bag. Another thing that kind of he made his own gasket. Once I seen that, I knew I was going in the right direction for problems. So I'm looking at the O-ring in here, and it's quite compressed and in there. So I'm going to attempt to pop the O-ring out and just rotate it, and hopefully that's enough to revive it, and then I can put that back in there, and hopefully it doesn't tear on me. My only hope is that it's the same diameter as the float bowl on the old frickin' snowblower here, because I got a couple of those guys kicking around. I could probably spare one on that. So like I say, I'm going to put all this carburetor back together. I got to wait for parts to come in on this guy here, and that's where we're at. No wonder I was able to get the fire when I put the fire juice right down the old air hole. At least I know the electrical's good. I really hate disconnecting these things. They're a great pain in the butt. So that's where I'm at in this project here. It's just going to be a matter of reassembling everything and then setting it off to the side for now, because that's about as far as a guy can make it on this until I get the parts I need to replace this stuff. I wonder if I should just see if I can find me an O-ring for that. That's where we're at, and unfortunately I won't be able to do this video all the way through beginning to end, so I'm going to leave this one here and tune out for now, and then when I get this stuff in, it's going to be a part 2 on this Honda pump rebuild. So thanks for watching. I hope you liked, and if you learned a little something on this one, that's good, because I learned something on this one. Paying for parts sure does suck, but that's the way she goes. But at least I got a bit of an answer as to what's going on with it, and hopefully once I can rebuild everything and then she's airtight and sealed up good, it'll do the job as she's supposed to, and it would be nice, because it is a nice pump after all, and it's in pretty darn good shape besides that. But that gasket, that's the problem. That's where she was at. So I ordered new parts, and it comes with new gaskets and all that stuff too. So that was $40, which really is a pretty good hit for a fella. So if anybody wants to help a guy out, email's in my profile there. You can just do an old handy dandy e-transfer, because I'm not getting the watch hours or enough subs for making this channel profitable. And if you want to see this stuff continue, I might need your help. Thanks for watching. Bye. Damn thing. Jesus Christ. $40 for parts. And it was, they tried to fix it with crazy glue. You can see the residue in there and all that stuff. So this guy had seen some hours. So hopefully I can get it all taken care of. And yeah, that sucks.